So hi everyone, my name is Rasmus. I work as a VMware instructor for Aero's ECS in Denmark. First of all, I just wanted to ask, is there anyone here who doesn't understand Danish? Okay, I'll do it in English then, no problem. So as I mentioned, I work as a VMware instructor. I teach a wide range of VMware courses as it is now. And the session will hopefully try and show you some of the things that we have available for getting certified. Could be courses, self-study tips, and things like that. Let's try and take a look at the agenda. First off, we'll start by taking a look at the certification portfolio of VMware. We'll try and talk a little bit about why you should consider getting certified. We'll take a closer look at who Aero ECS is. And then we'll see how you have an opportunity to go ahead and win a troubleshooting workshop course from Aero. Okay, so a quick look at the various levels. So very recently there was introduced a new certification level called Associate by VMware, or just VCA. The next level coming up is VCP, or Certified Professional. After that we have VCAP, Advanced Professional. And at the very top, we have VCDX, or expert level. I'll try and run through each of the different levels one at a time. A new one that has been relaunched is the Certified Associate. In this example here, it's the DCV, or Data Center Virtualization track. It was actually launched originally in 2011 as VCA 4 desktop, but was since then closed down again and was now relaunched in August this year. There's approximately 41,000 people already certified worldwide as VCA. And in Denmark, the recent number I had was around 184. Is there anyone here who already took and passed the VCA certification? A few guys? Okay. As you can see here at the bottom of the slide, we actually have a voucher code that you can come to the Aero ECS booth and use to give a very heavy discount on the exam. Actually, you'll be able to take the exam today at the booth if you're interested in doing that. And it might be possible that you can get some tips during the exam, perhaps. We never know. If you want to do it from home, that's definitely an opportunity as well. VMware provides free video training that you can take from the website. All you need to do is simply go ahead and register for it. It takes approximately 2 to 3 hours to review all of the material, depending on your pace, of course. Once you feel that you've prepared for the course, you can go to the website and register for the exam. You'll be transferred to the PersonVue certification website. You'll have to create an account if you don't already have one. The process is fairly straightforward. Otherwise, just let me know. I'll point you to my personal blog where I have a step-by-step screenshot of the whole process. Once you're there, you can take the exam online, just using your browser from home or from work or wherever you feel would be suitable for you. It's actually an open book exam, which also means that you could potentially use the training material during the exam if you feel comfortable doing that. Okay. Once you've sat the exam and hopefully passed it and became certified associate, you will actually have opportunities to receive invitations from VMware for beta exams, beta courses that are coming up. Plus, you'll also be eligible to receive discounts for VMware events. Could potentially be VMworld and so on, but since it's very recently it was launched, we'll still have to wait and see what kind of discounts we're talking about. The next level was the VCP, Certified Professional. The last number I saw was more than 162,000 people worldwide certified, and already 823 in Denmark. How many here is already certified professional? Some on the way, maybe? Okay, great. So unlike a lot of other training courses you can go on and take the certifications, for VMware the course is a requirement, so it's not optional. So you have some different options depending on what kind of level you're already at. If you're new in the VMware hypervised environment, I would suggest attending the Install, Configure, Manage course. It's a 5-day course, approximately 8 to 4 each day. And it gives a really good introduction to the software. You get lots of hands-on during the week as well with labs. And I would say you're very good on the way already to attending the exam. If you already have some experience, I would suggest instead of taking the Install, Configure, Manage course to go for the Fast Track course, which is a very fast-paced course with much more hands-on. There's a lot more material. So instead of being 8 until 4, it's actually until 6 o'clock. So there's a few hours extra added. And it's quite intensive. So in case that you think, I'll probably easily manage, if it's the first time you've actually used the products, I don't recommend going for the Fast Track course unless you're a very fast learner, I would suggest. If you're already perhaps certified on a previous version, for example VCP4, then we have the What's New course. VMware recommends, depending on how long ago it was that you actually took the VCP4, there's a grace period. I believe it's approximately 6 months. And if you go at that time, then you need to come and attend the What's New course before you can go and take the exam for the VCP5 level. Other courses that you could take to actually be eligible for taking the exam could be the Optimize and Scale course or the Troubleshooting Workshop, which are both advanced courses. Let's try and take a look at an example question. Which of the following is not decided by a distributed resource scheduler in partially automated mode, but is decided by DRS in fully automated mode? How many people think they have the correct answer for this one? Only one guy? Okay. Well, in this case, it's load balancing. Let's try and take another one. Which of the following types of updates is no longer supported by VMware Update Manager? Few guys? 3 guys? Okay. Guest OS, how many was right? Perfect. Yeah, everyone knows. So you should come on the advanced course instead, if you already know everything. Actually, on the VMware blog, they have a question of the week for various exams. So if you're following the VMware blog, you can see different questions coming up for different courses and exams. Normally, the questions will come out of the official study guide for those exams. So if you're interested in achieving the exam, the course is, of course, really good, but the study guide could be also good for actually getting some example questions that you could use for perhaps finding your weak areas, at least. The next level is the Advanced Professional, in this case, the Data Center Administration, or DCA exam. Worldwide, there's more than 3,000 VCAPs, and in Denmark, currently, there's 17 people who hold 1 VCAP exam or more, which is, in my opinion, quite a low number. So, of course, I'm hoping that at least some of the people who are attending the session today would be interested in moving forward in certification for VMware. Is there anyone here who already has a VCAP exam? Since it's only 17 people, the chance was a little bit slim, but you never know who comes. To actually pass the exam, there isn't any official course requirements. Obviously, since you need to pass the VCP5 before you can attend this exam, you need to actually have passed, attended one of the previously mentioned courses. But other than that, there isn't any requirements on the course. But I would strongly recommend to go ahead and attend as a minimum the Optimize and Scale course, and perhaps the Troubleshooting course as well, which both provide some really good insights on things that you will encounter on the exam. The exam itself is 4 hours practical. Actually, it's 3.5 hours, but if you're in a non-English native speaking country, you get half an hour more, which will be quite useful. I took the exam myself not so long ago, and I must admit I had to use every single minute on the exam, which seems to be the general occurrence for most people taking the exam. That it's not an exam to take lightly, at least. Because it's a practical exam, you also have the situation that the machine isn't able to grade you instantly. So normally when you take the exams, you'll get, as soon as you click finish, a score on the screen that will tell you, did you pass it, did you not pass it. But because it's a practical exam, you'll need to have somebody from VMware go ahead and grade all of the exercises that you completed. This will take most likely around 10 to 15 business days. I think for exams like this, the advanced exams, I would definitely recommend taking a look at the blueprint. So for any exam that you take on VMware, there will be a blueprint available. For some other vendors that provide exams, often you'll just see some high-level bullets on what will be, which subjects will be on the exam. But VMware actually was kind enough to provide a very detailed blueprint, which will help you quite a lot if you go ahead and use those points for studying up. It's very detailed. Heavily recommend looking into the blueprint. The second VCAP that we have for the data center virtualization is the data center design or DCD. Again, you need to actually pass the VCP5 DCV exam before attending this exam. Again, there are no course requirements, but I would strongly suggest attending the design workshop, which is quite an interesting course because it will require a lot of interaction from the students, which means typically you'll be working together, the whole class, on building up various designs for some scenarios during the week. And if you're not already working on a daily basis doing designs, that's going to be very, very useful on the exam. The last level on the certifications is the VCDX, or Design Expert. It's the highest level of certification VMware currently provides. There's only around 124 people in the whole world who holds the certification. There's no one in Denmark who currently holds it. I know there's a few people who tried but didn't yet pass it at least. There is one guy in Sweden who actually took 2 different VCDX exams. He's the first double VCDX. Before you can go ahead and even try to achieve the VCDX, you need to have passed both of the VCAP exams, so both the practical exam and the design exam. Depending on the level of enthusiasm and time and effort you put into actually obtaining it, it could be achievable within 12 months, but you should expect at least 400 hours of study time and writing time for actually completing the whole design, submitting it in, getting it reviewed. The process itself can be a little bit lengthy, but again, this is to be remembered that it's the highest level of certification. There's only very few people worldwide who actually hold it. Once you actually pass the exam, you will, on the other hand, know that you can most likely get a job anywhere that you would like. You don't anymore have to look for jobs. They will come looking for you immediately. If it's something that you are interested in obtaining, maybe now or maybe later, there's a LinkedIn group that we created. You can go ahead and join in. There's a link here on the slide. It's also just called VCDX DK on LinkedIn, where Arrow will, together with VMware, partner up to create a course, especially designed for people who are currently VCPs as a minimum, who are interested in moving up. This will also give you an opportunity to actually become one of the first people in Denmark to obtain the VCDX, hopefully. As I mentioned, both Arrow and VMware will support the study group. The idea is we'll take all of the required courses, put together this whole study groups. The courses will be available. We'll provide good insights for the study groups on the areas to study for. We'll try and make sure we pull in some interesting profiles from, of course, inside Denmark, but also from outside, to make sure that everyone keeps making progress. This also means that the people who actually sign up for this need to be quite dedicated to make sure that we don't have somebody slacking behind. So as I mentioned, it will take quite a lot of time and effort, but if you are interested, it will be really rewarding at the end, for sure. Study workshops will be announced during the first quarter next year when the time and locations will be. It also depends on the amount of interest, if we need to create more than one at least. Some general recommendations for studies on all of the exams, I would say the first thing to do is find the blueprint, look very closely at it, find all of the areas, depending on which exam you're looking at. For example, the VCP5 data center virtualization, it's quite easy to find a lot of bloggers on the internet who took each and every point in the blueprint and found a ton of links for each and every point, meaning if you decided to go ahead and study all of those beforehand coming to the course, or perhaps afterwards, you'll be very, very well prepared for taking the exam later on. But again, the blueprint will be available for all of the exams, and very recommended to read it. The next thing I would heavily recommend is getting dedicated study time. Decide on how much time you'll spend, maybe not per day, but at least per week. So you make sure that you have this time. You don't have to struggle behind perhaps work or other things that you are maybe doing with children or the wife or whatever. Make sure that you have the time available to do the studies. Maybe set some milestones that you know you can achieve, a certain amount of objectives from the blueprint, perhaps. Depending on what kind of job you have, you might already have access to some labs. If you don't have that, you can consider using something like VMware Workstation for building a virtual environment. You can also come to vendors like Arrow ECS for lab access. And I really recommend that because taking the exams needs a lot of hands-on. So hands-on during the courses will be really good. So that's very helpful. But for the areas that perhaps you found a little bit difficult during the course, things that you want to perhaps dig in a little bit further for your own production environment perhaps, it's always good to have a lab system that you can use for all of these tests. The last thing I want to mention is something really new to the table. So until very recently, there wasn't any official practice exams that you could use. There was a mock exam, which was just to sort of show you the format of the exam, not so much to actually show you the difficulty. But very recently, VMware partnered up with Person View and Measure Up to provide official practice exams. I've had a chance to look at them myself, and I would recommend using those in your efforts to achieve this various certification levels. Now, during all of the previous slides, I've been mainly talking about the DCV or the data center virtualization track, but don't forget that that's obviously not the only track. VMware has a lot of different products, different lines of products. And in the slides we can see here, we have the end user computing, which is the desktop, Horizon View. We have the cloud line of products, which would be vCloud or vCloud Automation Center, for example. So there's a lot of different angles into certification, depending on perhaps what is your interests, what's your job angle perhaps as well. Now, why should you go ahead and then get certified? Well, for some of the courses, obviously there are some course requirements. Taking the course will make sure that you improve your skill set. So even if you're someone who's very experienced doing administration, perhaps in your own production environment as well, on the courses you'll find instructors such as myself and others, of course, who will find those small corners perhaps that you still don't know or perhaps don't fully understand yet and fill out those gaps. There might also be some misunderstandings because of changes VMware did during the time. Products worked in a certain way in the past and they've improved, but perhaps you are not aware of those changes. All of these things we can also get corrected during the courses. This also helps you to prove your knowledge. So one thing is saying that you know how to administrate all of these big systems, but actually having and passed the exams for the certifications also helps you to display that you have at least, as a minimum, this level of knowledge. The VCP exam itself is actually quite recognized in not just the community, but also the jobs. Now, for Denmark, perhaps it's not a really big tradition to require certifications in job postings, but once you get to the actual job interviews, this is something that will be valued a lot. It also makes, for most people at least, for a higher salary. Being certified means that you already know what you're talking about. And so if you're already in a position, most companies will be interested in keeping you there, not just having you leave for a different company. Last but not least, it also gives you a certain level of personal branding, depending on how active you are in the community. It's always nice to see who else is there, who's quite active, things like this. And I would like to say, remember that the people who actually go ahead and get the certifications are typically also the people who are really interested in learning new things, who doesn't want to be left behind. Because in the way that IT works right now, nobody wants to become a dinosaur, working with old systems, not any of the new technology. It might be good that you took VCP in version 4. It might be good that you have some MCSE certification for 2003. But you need to make sure that you keep yourself updated. And the certifications is also a way to actually show that you've kept yourself up to date on new technologies. I think one of the old quotes that we can always go to is the CEO talking to the CFO. What if we go ahead and we put money into actually training the staff we have already hired, and then they leave? But perhaps we should turn that around and say, what if we don't train them, and then they stay? Then the company is just left behind with people who are not evolving, who are not getting ready for the new technologies that the company will require in the future. So who is ECS Education? We're the leading VMware training center in Denmark. Last year we taught more than 59% of all VMware courses. The trainers that we use are residents. They're hired and work for ECS. We don't use external instructors. Instructors such as myself also work on the side as consultants, which means that we are not just reading off books and then teaching it. We also actually go ahead and come out and do real life work, meaning we also have a lot of real life experience that we can pull from when we have people on the courses and ask something. We don't necessarily have to look in the book and see, what does it say here? We already know because we've already done these implementations in the past. And the last thing, which is, in my opinion, a recommendation, we have classrooms in both Copenhagen and Aarhus, which means we don't, if you're from perhaps Jylland, you don't need to travel very far and stay in hotels. You can actually still come home every day from after finishing the course. Why should you use us? Well, we have a lot of special offerings for the students who attend the courses. We do specialized workshops, which could be closed classes for specific companies. It could be courses put together for a certain end goal that you might be interested in. It could be combination of various vendors. If you have a new company working up, perhaps you've bought up other companies and suddenly you need training in the products that they were using. And the lab environments we have are actually running state-of-the-art solutions. Now, if you attend training at various other training centers, when you do the hands-on labs, you typically see that there is a schedule for how long each lab should take. Now, the lab time is typically set on the speed of the lab because, for example, if you're doing some copy operations or things like that, it will take a certain amount of time. But typically, the students in our courses finish the lab exercises in approximately half of the allocated time because the lab system is just that fast that we don't have a lot of waiting time for the labs to actually finish. Once the classes are finished, we typically also offer an extended access to the labs for those who are interested in that, which in my opinion, again, big benefit, because if you are interested in not just attending the course, but also passing the exam at the end and achieving the certification, it's a good idea to make sure you have lots of hands-on. Now, of course, you might be working somewhere where you're already running VMware in production, but some things are perhaps not the best to test in production environments, and so it might be a good idea to have a lab system that you can use for trying to break things, testing various features that you didn't try before, and so on. Plus, we have brunch every Friday morning, eggs and bacon and everything. It's the best. Okay, last but not least, I really wanted to mention that we have an opportunity at our booth currently. I don't know if any of you already came by to sign up, but we're offering a giveaway of VMware Troubleshooting Workshop course, valued at approximately 30,000 Danish kroner. So if you didn't already sign up, just come by. We have some t-shirts that you can wear, and then we'll make a drawing later on from the people who are actually wearing the t-shirts. Is there any last questions? Otherwise, thank you for coming, and if you have any personal questions you want to go ahead, just come up and I'll be more than happy to answer them. Thank you.